We're off to the Health Hub Times Square in Ballincollig, where Anneliese joins me. Good afternoon to you, Anneliese.
Good afternoon, Patricia.
And you're very welcome. Let's get straight into questions. Mary wants to know, how long is it safe to take vitamin B complex? Can you stay on it long term?
You can, absolutely. It's one of the water-soluble ones, so what your body won't use, you will just excrete naturally. There are some that maybe you could take in high amounts that might cause some side effects. So like if you're taking a very high dose of vitamin B6, that might give you some tingling in your fingers, on your toes. Or if you took a very high dose of niacin, you might get what they call a niacin flush, which is a kind of a vasodilatory effect where all the blood vessels open up, so you'll go like absolutely putrid red. But they're not dangerous. And most that would be in extremely high doses. So a general B complex to take every day is great. And to be honest, Patricia, the way that we process our grains and our foods, we're probably missing an awful lot of B vitamins in our food. So like white bread would be minus about 80% of the B vitamins, if not more. And the same with white rice, white pasta. So it's not a bad one to take. Other ways we'll get it then would be from animal foods and also our green leafy vegetables are a great source. So you could increase those in your diet if you didn't want to take a supplement.
Yeah, somebody else is asking about a child who's a fussy eater. Would you recommend putting them on a multivitamin? Caller's afraid that her daughter isn't getting the required vitamins because she's such a fussy eater.
I think it probably depends. I mean, you will get a lot of vitamins from fruit and veg. So if they're the ones that she's refusing to eat, then I probably would consider putting her on a multivitamin and maybe one with the probiotic in it as well, because that's very good for gut health. Like if you're not eating your fruits and your veg, you're not getting the fibre that you need for your microbiome, to your gut bacteria to thrive. And we're finding out more and more how much it's linked with anxiety, depression, mood, energy, immune system function. So the gut is very, very, the bacteria in the gut are very important. So I generally don't recommend somebody takes a multi every single day, but in the case where it's not coming from the diet, especially for a growing kid, I think it would be important. So like we sell lots of the Nature's Plus gummies and chewables here. They're very good. They're quite broad spectrum and they cover most things. And then just a kid's probiotic as well on top of that, and hopefully that will do the job.
And why don't you recommend that somebody takes a multivitamin every day?
I don't think we need to, Patricia, really. I'd say if your diet is good, you should be getting what you need from your diet. And I know we read all the time that the soil is poor, that stuff isn't grown in soil anymore, it's grown hydroponically. But if you're eating, 6 to 8 fruit and veg a day and whole grains and good quality proteins, your body will adapt and absorb more of less. So if there's less nutrients in it, your body will just absorb more of it. We never absorb 100% of everything all of the time. Mm. So I think if your diet is good, and the way that we have evolved is to eat it in a food rather take it in a supplement. So we should get what we need. But I would take I take the Source of Life Gold myself as a tonic every now and then.
So do I,
when I feel I need a boost.
I find it great. I really find it great. Yeah. And sometimes just a month of it, just one bottle of it will do.
That's exactly what I do, Patricia, and that comes from a lot of foods as well. So you're getting your multi, but you're getting all of the other plant chemicals that come with the greens and the berries and the mushrooms and everything else that they throw into that as a tonic. So you're getting a lot of food-based stuff. So if you're a poor eater, if you've been unwell, if you're under particular stress, or if you're going through a particular busy period of time, a multivitamin can get you through, but it should not take the place of a healthy diet.
Okay. Now here's an interesting one. Could you ask Anneliese, please? I'm inquiring for a friend of mine. My friend is on ashwagandha. Is ashwagandha the same as antidepressants in that? Can you just stop taking them, or does you have to gradually come off them as you would do with antidepressants?
So the ashwagandha doesn't have an antidepressant effect as such. It's what they call an adaptogen, Patricia, and it works really to help rebalance your whole, what we call the HPA axis, your hypothalamus pituitary adrenals. So it's fantastic for people who are undergoing stress, who are feeling low because of stress, or feeling stressed because they're feeling low. And it helps to, if your adrenals have been overworked, it helps to nourish and bring them up. And if they're overactive and you're pumping out too much stress hormone, it helps to rebalance the stress hormone in the body. So it works very well for that reason, and a lot of people use it to manage mood. You don't have to wean it off because it's not replacing anything that your body normally makes, whereas the antidepressants, the way they work is that they keep serotonin in the synapses for longer. So the whole feedback mechanism for your own neurons in your brain to continue making serotonin is kind of halted. So that's why it's exceptionally important. And I can't stress that enough, because a lot of people try and come off antidepressants and they feel absolutely horrendous. So you have to re-educate your neurons to make serotonin again after being on an antidepressant. So that doesn't apply to ashwagandha. It's fantastic as well if you take it with saffron. So we have a lovely saffron product here in the shop that's a combination of ashwagandha and saffron. And saffron has been shown in some clinical trials to perform equally as well as the antidepressants in terms of lifting mood. So the two of them can work beautifully together.
Question in for Anneliese from Anne. My almost 17-year-old son is constantly getting sore throats. He's off school, for example, again today. Now, he did have his tonsils removed when he was just 4. He eats very well, he's active, plays football. Any advice, please, of why he's constantly picking up sore throats?
Yeah, you know what? It's a difficult one, Patricia. I kind of feel that we all have a sort of a weak area in our body, and then when our immune systems are challenged by having to fight any kind of virus, which we're fighting all the time, or bacteria, which we're meeting all the time in our daily environment, that the weak spot is the one that shows the first signs. So in his case, it's possibly the throat, especially because, the tonsils were a problem there as well before. So I think you need to be proactive about it, really. Vitamin D, definitely this time of the year, we're all very vitamin D depleted, especially if you haven't been taking a supplement. I would recommend taking a supplement with some vitamin D, zinc, vitamin C and some selenium in it. And they're the kind of the 4 basics to support your immune system. And then I would maybe gargle daily with salt and water. There's also Dr. Claire does a lovely throat spray, Dr. Dealish Claire, the herbalist lady. She has a throat spray that has some echinacea in it, as well as sage and marshmallow. So it's very good to soothe a sore throat. But the echinacea is wonderful to spray at the back of the throat to kind of help the immune cells around the throat area to fight any infection or virus. And the last thing then, kind of for throat, we'd often recommend would be colloidal silver. So in the old days, Patricia, you would remember that if you cut your leg, you'd get mercurochrome painted onto it. Now they've realised the mercury is a severe neurotoxin, so that's not used anymore. But silver works in the same way. And when they use it colloidally, it means it's nanoparticles. So it's so tiny that the overall dose is small, but it's small enough to kind of get in with the cells. And it works brilliantly on any cuts or scratches or infections or sore throats, anything like that, to help heal quickly. So I would say be proactive about kind of managing it and have those on hand, ready to go. But take that immune boost supplement throughout the winter, really up until the end of next month, I think.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things still doing the rounds at the moment, isn't there? There's a friend of mine who got a really horrendous chest infection. There just seems to be a lot of viruses and bugs and infections doing the rounds.
There is, Patricia, I think, and the weather, of course, has been so damp,
It's not helping.
They always say a good freeze gets rid of the bugs, but we really haven't had much cold weather. So we're spending a lot of time still indoors with the windows closed and the heating on, so germs are just able to circulate and multiply. It's as basic as that, really. So I think this year, hopefully the sun will start to shine in like a lion, out like a lamb at the end of March. But for people who would be struggling this winter, I'd nearly continue taking your vitamin D and maybe other immune boosters till the end of April.
Yeah, for another little while. Hi, could you ask Anneliese, please, to talk about fat on the liver? A family member was told they had it. What medication, etc., will help?
So fatty liver is actually becoming more and more common, Patricia, and it's an awful lot down to diet. It used to really only be seen in people who drank a lot, because the alcohol was converted in the liver and stored as fat in the liver. But now it's down to our diet mostly, and I see it quite a bit here in the shop. And the diet that we eat that is very high in things like fructose fruit juices, high fructose corn syrup, which is added to a lot of processed foods, high carbohydrate foods, so anything, where the fibre has been stripped out, like white bread, white rice, white pasta, all the sugars that we eat in our biscuits, cake, sugary cereals, all the processed foods. This has all geared the liver to converting those extra calories and storing them as fat in the liver. And the effect it has then is that the liver is no longer able to function efficiently. And this is the organ that basically is like our waste system. So if it can't process the waste from our body, we will be very, very unhealthy. So in terms of managing fatty liver, the first thing is I would definitely recommend looking at the diet and cutting out all sugary foods, and cut out sugary sweet drinks, even the ones that don't have sugar in them or fructose, even the ones that have those sweeteners in them. Cut them out and replace it with the Mediterranean diet, which is full of whole foods and lots of fruit and veg. That really is the best way long term to manage it. And then, in terms of supplements, there's a few that can help. So the first one that most people will be familiar with for the liver is milk thistle, and this helps the cells of the liver to function healthily. Another thing you can use is something called alpha-lipoic acid, and this has a hugely protective effect on the liver. Berberine is another one that comes from Berber's tree, and this is possibly the best one for fatty liver. Now, it is a fairly strong herb, and it will interact with medication, so make sure you check in the health shop before you start taking it so that it's safe to take with what you're taking medication-wise. But this is probably the one that has the most significant effect, berberine. And then the last one I'd mention, and we talk about this a lot, is the N-acetylcysteine. This seems to be wonderful for lots of different things. It supports the immune system, it's great for chest function, it's a brilliant natural antioxidant, and again, it's great for the liver. So you'll probably find products that contain most of these together. I know that the NHP Advanced Liver Support is fantastic, and Nutri Advanced do a great liver support one as well. But the berberine you will need to take separately, and it often comes with milk thistle as well, so start on that.
Okay, and a final one, could Anneliese please explain what causes toenail fungus, and could you recommend a treatment for it, please?
Yeah, so toenail fungus is generally caused by a yeast that infects the toes. And you catch it from somebody else, but it also may be an indicator of internal overgrowth of yeast. And this happens a lot to people after they've had a lot of medications or antibiotics, because it kills off all the good bacteria that by the sheer force of their numbers generally keep these yeasts under control. They prevent them from growing. So a lot of people would notice after an antibiotic they might get thrush, and that is an indicator of internal yeast growth. So the best way to treat it really is with antifungals, and that's what the doctor will generally recommend. The natural way, and we get great feedback on this, but it does take time, is the antifungal grapefruit seed extract. You don't take it, you put it on. So it comes in a liquid, and you use it every single day. You rub it around the nail area before you go out in the morning, and then when you get undressed at night. And then 2 or 3 times a week you put it into some warm water and use it as a foot bath so that it can soak in under the nail. You can also add it to your washing so that it kills off the fungus in your socks and in your cloth. You know, a lot of people are wearing cloth trainers instead of leather. So that could keep reinfecting yourself, so it's important to clear those as well. And just to bear in mind, your nails will probably go black, but it'll be the new nail coming up that you'll see will be healthy. And they grow so slowly that you really do need to give it at least 6 months.
Okay, just very briefly on ashwagandha. Is it okay to give ashwagandha to a Leaving Cert student?
Yes, fantastic for a Leaving Cert student in terms of, just to help them manage their stress levels. And we have a lovely supplement here that is called Resilience. It's by Nutri Advanced, and it's got the ashwagandha in there, but there's also a lot of other stuff to support stress, lemon balm, L-theanine, which is also great for calm and focus. So try and get it in a blend that has other bits in there to help with the study as well as with the stress of the study. Okay,
and we're kind of coming into that period, aren't we? It'll be the mocks soon enough.
Absolutely, and God love them, the pressure these days is horrendous. So anything that can help. And the other thing I'd recommend, Patricia, as well, is fish oils, because really time and time again, people will say that their kids are able to retain more information, but you need to start taking them at least now to be probably earlier, but if you start taking them now, you'll see the benefits in 6 to 8 weeks in terms of being able to retain large amounts of information.
And what would you recommend in a fish oil?
Well, go for something that is high in DHA, so that's the one that you need for the brain. This EPA anti-inflammatory, omega-3, and DHA for the brain. So our favourite one here time and time again is the Cardio Plus. It has very high DHA in there, but if you can't get your hands on that, the Nord Naturals Ultimate Omega is a good one.
Okay. Listen, all of that information you put up online. Thank you for that. Have a lovely week.
Patricia.
And we'll chat again next Monday. That's Anneliese Dressel of the Health Hub, Times Square in Ballincollig. And all the information she's imparted, she'll put up on her own website this afternoon, healthhubstore.com. And John Paul will also put it up as a separate podcast.